You may be aware that a couple of weeks ago, the CBC announced that they are going to do even more climate change journalism, because climate change is defining every aspect of our lives and the planet is changing. So the CBC is committing to more hard-hitting climate journalism. One of the examples of this new hard-hitting climate journalism is this piece. My climate anxiety has turned me into a trash hoarder. It's a first-person essay written by a Toronto man who orders too much takeout and then keeps the containers in his house, and he claims he has climate anxiety. I have a problem throwing away takeout containers, he writes. You might be familiar with them, especially with the pandemic. They're rectangular, black plastic containers with a clear plastic lid, usually adorned with some restaurant brand sticker. These containers are food safe, microwave friendly, easily stackable, and sturdy, blah 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 blah. One problem, they're not recyclable. So first of all, I think it's best that we assume that no plastic is truly food safe and no plastic is truly microwave friendly. But anyways, the author goes on to talk about the other ways in which his anxiety manifests, which is by stuffing plastic bags in his closet. But doesn't every household have a plastic bag full of plastic bags? I think this is a very normal human behavior. I think we're seeing this author of the CBC piece. He's one of these kind of millennial Gen Z people who has a tendency to pathologize everything that they do, when really it's just normal behavior. Anyway, so he then talks about how he has too many sauce cups in his fridge from his takeout orders. But at least he uses toothpaste capsules instead of toothpaste from a tube, and he uses laundry strips instead of laundry detergent from a plastic container. And kudos to him for that. The conclusion of the piece is that this man doesn't really know what he should do about his problem, and he feels very burdened by these takeout containers. So I don't want to be a negative Nelly here, so let's see the positive in this piece. He's being relatable. In general, we all feel like we could do better when it comes to pollution and our impact on the earth. For me, I feel like I could be more diligent when going to a cafe. I need to remember to bring my reusable cup. Sometimes I'm not very diligent about that. So that's one area where I could improve. So I get that this man is trying to be relatable with this CBC op-ed. But otherwise the article is just useless pontification. But what I do think is worth talking about is this concept of climate anxiety. It has definitely popped up over the last couple years. Last year there was a study that came out saying 1 in 5 British children have nightmares about climate change. So these children are so impacted by the climate hysteria around them that they're suffering from nightmares. There was a survey done of 10,000 16 to 25-year-olds around the world, where 60% of respondents said that they felt very worried or extremely worried about climate change, and 45% said that the feelings of anxiousness and sadness impacted their daily lives. And we know more and more young people are saying they don't want to have children because of climate change. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that this is fully their reason for not wanting to have children. I think they probably don't want to have children for lifestyle reasons, but they bring up the climate as kind of a socially conscious answer if someone asks them why they don't want children. But it is a reason that people are bringing up, that young people are bringing up more and more. And these children are being repeatedly told in the media, at school, everywhere, that the planet is burning and sea levels are rising and we're about to face unprecedented natural disasters and humanity is doomed. And so, many children and teenagers, and even adults, I suppose, are reporting that eco-anxiety is causing them to be depressed and panicked and chronically fearful. Now, I totally don't relate to this sentiment. In my daily life, I feel no climate anxiety. I sometimes experience disgust when I witness other people over-consuming, but that doesn't manifest as anxiety. As for me, I like paper straws. I don't eat meat. I buy everything I can secondhand. I am a user of public transit. I barely ever fly anywhere. I try to buy as little as I can in general. So, I'm not saying all this to make myself sound superior. I think we all know that discussions of the environment and being green can get annoying really quickly. There's just something kind of inherently annoying about it, I guess. But I'm just saying that I am someone who cares deeply about the health of the planet, the health of the creatures that inhabit the planet, and I don't find climate anxiety to be a productive or relevant sentiment to have. Now, I want to go over 3 cop-out phrases that the leftist, socialist, environmentalist types use. The first is they'll say something like, individual actions like turning off your lights and recycling are not enough anymore because we have a problem of systemic institutions and we need to dismantle and change those systemic institutions. It's even better when they tie in climate justice with racial justice and decolonization and patriarchy. So then they argue that we need to dismantle racism in order to improve carbon emissions and whatever. So sure, I believe that there are some large systems that are going to be hard to change, such as the way Canadian cities are designed. The way most Canadian cities are designed, cities and towns, is absolutely shameful. I mean, I think about where I live, and it's just all these plazas that are parking lots with stores on the outline of the parking lot. And that's the destination, that's the plaza. It's essentially a parking lot with a couple shops around it. It's ugly, it's shameful, it's a shameful use of land. But, we can tackle this while also taking into account that our individual actions do still matter. Another cop-out is when the leftist types say that they are experiencing paralysis from climate anxiety. So they can't do anything about it because they are literally paralyzed from the fear and trauma. This was, something that was brought up in that CBC op-ed. So sure, I mean, you can experience that for a little bit of time, I guess, but you are going to need to get over it. And thirdly, one of the left's favorite phrases is, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. So they will justify their bad habits, such as buying from cheap fast fashion brands, or throwing away 2 plastic iced coffee cups a day, because, there's just no ethical consumption under capitalism anyway, and if we can't dismantle the whole system, then what's the use in trying to be incrementally more environmentally responsible, because the whole system is screwed, so why even try? So I'm really not a fan of this phrase that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. I think it's used as a cop-out. But you can see how these 3 ideas are interlinked as well. And of course, right now, the COP26 UN Climate Change Conference is occurring in Scotland. And we learned that 400 private jets flew into the conference, carrying world leaders that are attending this summit, and that the carbon emissions from these flights for this one conference were equivalent to the annual carbon emissions of over 1,500 regular Scotland citizens. So, personally, I don't regard any of the people attending this UN conference to be global climate leaders. I think that's kind of laughable. If you're like me and you live a minimalist, low-impact, conscious lifestyle, you are already more of a friend to the environment than Justin Trudeau ever will be, than Joe Biden ever will be, than any of these COP26 global elite jet setters. So give yourself some credit. You don't need to have climate anxiety. Just focus on gradually making lifestyle improvements like moving away from plastics or running that errand you need to do by bike or by bus. And when you do that, when you gradually make those changes, there is no need to pathologize your existence, and there is no need to be paralyzed by climate anxiety. I'm Lindsay Shepherd with True North. Thanks so much for watching. If you like our coverage and commentary here at True North, please consider visiting donate.tnc.news and supporting us. Bye for now.